So, good afternoon to Poeti.
Good afternoon.
So, how would you define yourself as a spiritual teacher? How would you describe yourself as a spiritual teacher?
I would describe myself as a voice in the wilderness that is crying out for knowledge.
Hold this mic.
Crying out for knowledge. So grow each and every day, to accept the changes in life, to accept that I'm getting older, to accept there's things that I can do and things that I can't do. So I'm just trying to exist with the guidance of the divine and the ancestors and the old energies of the earth.
So, what would you say is the role of ancestors in relationship to your practice and to what you teach?
So the reality is we are our ancestors and our ancestors are we. So we don't just live one life, we live many lives. So we go and come to this earth, from this earth, back to the world of the dead, the world of the ancestors. And hopefully each time that we go and come, we are evolving, we are growing. But some of us have this concept that we only live once, and therefore when we die, because we don't do the things that our ancestors need us to do so we can come back to earth, we stay in the world of the dead for a long time, and sometimes never ever come back to the reality of life, because a lot of Western society idea is we are waiting for the trumpet to blow, and when that trumpet blows, 300 and something thousand will rise in Christ, and then you will no longer need, you will get the comfort, you will get the milk and honey, and everything else that you need when Jesus comes again. Surprising to say, that is not reality, that is fantasy. And so the whole concept of religion is just nonsensical, it don't make sense. And all it is to try and make sure human beings don't evolve and find the true destiny and the real reason for their existence.
So would you say that nature and the earth energies and the ancestors help us to realize our true nature and help us to grow and develop?
So the first aspect is nature is our teacher. Nature is our guide. And when we abuse nature and try to live outside of nature, it brings disharmony. There is no harmony when you are not able to understand that the rain, the sun, everything that exists was created not for us, but created for us to able to manifest our higher self and to grow and to know and to understand that everything, every day in life is a different experience. Every country is a different experience. Every time of day is a different experience. So we have to understand the cycles and the rhythm of the earth and the harmony and disharmony that we create for ourselves. And so our ancestors are at the forefront of our involvement, because when the ancestors are ancestors, they are in the world of the dead, manifesting and enabling us to walk the earth. When we are here to learn, to grow, and to go back to the world of the dead. When we go back to the world of the dead, it depends on what we need to do before we come back again. So the reality is that we can't live without our ancestors, we can't exist, because the way the divine create everything, they create everything with a duality. There's a duality in everything. There's light, there's dark, there's weak, there's strong. And everything in the creative story of human being is a journey through lives to manifest to your higher self, so you get to the stage, hopefully, each and every one of us will get to the stage where we exist and we don't need a body no more, and we don't need to go walking on the earth no more.
So do you think that more people have come to realise in the last 30 years when you've been practicing, growing and teaching, that A, we need to connect with nature, and B, that there is a force from our bloodlines that we need to connect to via the ancestors?
So it's important for us to understand that our bloodline is important, but also our destiny line is also important. And you have to understand that we have a mother and a father. And the energy of the mother is different from the energy of the father. So how the divine creates us is that the mother nurtures us. The father gives us strength. The blood is the strength. And the spirituality is on the mother's side. And therefore, we have to understand that life is not as simple as it looks. There's a whole lot of different things going on all the time. And life is about constant change. And we know that we can't change nature, even though America and other countries think they can manipulate nature. And the whole idea now is that they are trying to create a sun. And when they create the sun will burn out the whole of this earth. Because they might have this idea that they have knowledge. But any knowledge or information that we have as a human being, and if you see everything that is created by human beings, it comes from something that was created by the divine through nature. And so if you look like on a submarine, you see that it's something that man has copied from somewhere. You look at things like a helicopter, you can see the hummingbird. It's something that they get that reality from. So what we think that we know, or what we think that we can do, is through inspiration. So most of the people who have good creative ability, they think it's themselves, but the reality is not. Because there's energy, whether it's through their blood or through energies, that is enabling them to manifest their higher self. If you talk to somebody who writes or what, and a lot of people say they wake up in the middle of the night and they get an idea. And this idea becomes so strong inside of them, they can't sleep. They have to do what the mind is telling them, or the spirit, or the soul, or whatever is telling them to do. And so that is how people evolve. We are inspired. But the next thing about inspiration is that the earth or the universe is balanced. So when you find one person come up with an idea, loads of other people come up with the same idea at the same time. So that just tells you that is not you. Because you are not everybody and everybody is not you. So the reality is that the earth, the universe, is continually giving. And it's only when you are in the right frequency that you can able to manifest and manipulate that what is given to you.
I think Emma was talking about that a bit this morning when she was saying getting into a particular zone, and Cheryl was talking about it in a frequency with sound. How important is it for us to manage our own energy or frequency that we have in relationship to the environment that we're in?
The first thing that you need to understand is, who are you? Who am I?
It's very important.
Right? What am I here to do? What I can do and what I can't do, what I should do. All of those things are important. So we have this idea of picking up ourselves and say, I'm so great, I can do this, I can do that. But the reality, we as human beings can do very little without help from ancestors, the earth itself. the 4 elements, and everything that we have to understand. The thing is about communication. And everything in the world that is created by the divine and the ancestors and the deities, the sun, the moon, and everything, have the ability to communicate with every one of us. And sometimes we don't understand that because our ego sometimes is so big that we think, I can do this, I have done this. And especially people when they want to show off and say, sorry, how great they are. Then they start telling you, I've done this. But it's only through inspiration or your ancestor giving you something direct. Because sometimes some people is fortunate where they can get actual direct message from spirit. I want you to do this or that. And when you adhere to that, then you see your life will change. Because they are what we call guides or energy of spirit that is continually trying to uplift human beings. That is continually trying to help you, to make you be the best that you can be while you're walking this earth.
So, for our audience here, how would you say the spiritual landscape, especially since COVID, people were talking about this great awakening, where people woke up to the reality of maybe being more controlled than we thought we were, or being, having to make big changes in their lives. What would you say? Do you think our consciousness, human consciousness, changed from 2020 to now, that we have become more aware of our purpose, our place within society, and everything around us? Or do you think that we're still in a position pre-COVID of like a veil of existence where we can't see what is truth and what is a deception?
So some people get so frightened with COVID, and the whole fact is that everybody do some very silly things. Because I know people who said, I have a house here or here, and I have to take the job because I need to travel. I need to do this and I need to do that. So fear has come into the system more now. More fear. And more people, and as you see the fear coming, you can see the government is trying to control you more and more, as instead of less. They're double down on everything, and so I never used to get no text from my doctor telling me I need to have a job. It's a flu season now.
I think everyone said those.
And I get them and I totally ignore them. Because I don't see no need to have any job. So human being at this stage, a lot of us are lost. And the reason why we are lost is because we depend on the system. We don't have that self-independence within us. We don't think that we can do this, and we are getting ending more and more every day because the fear is so strong. And they start taking away more and more of our rights. And in essence, we are going backward instead of going forward. So unless you are a free-spirited person who understand that nothing can really stop you from what you need to do. Because as long as you have your ancestors behind you, as long as you are in harmony with the earth and the rhythm and the cycles of the earth, then you're not going to be able to follow a human being. Because once you follow a human being and you make somebody have power over your destiny, then what are you? And where are you going? So, my grandmother told me when I was 12 years old, I'm the stubbornest boy she ever knew. And she said, I have a good way of doing it. And my good way is I never say no to her yes. Yet. Never say no. But I do what I want to do and I don't do the rest. And she said to me, "You think you're clever?" I said, "No, grandma, I'm not clever." She said, "You only do what you want to do. And no matter how people try and tell you to do the other things, you're not doing it." And that's how I've always been all my life. My wife would say probably that is not a very good thing. But I would say it's about self-preservation. It's about knowing who you are and knowing what you should do and what you shouldn't do. And as long as you have that philosophy inside of you and you are getting guidance, then life becomes so simple. When you can hear your ancestors, when you can talk to the trees, when you can talk to the rivers, you can talk to the sea, and they answer you back. That's the thing. So once you're in that frame of mind, then you can't allow human being to destroy that connection that you have, because it's important to be a part of everything. Once you are a part of existence, a part of everything, and you realize that, then your life will change for the better.
So, I know that you have the environment and the energy around you and the energy within us, that needs to be maintained through various, through prayers, through chanting, etc. But I know that you've launched your online shop. In that shop you have some lifestyle products that affect the environment, like incense or floor washes, perfumes, things that can help people to connect in, relax, aid meditation. Do you want to talk a bit about why you created those products?
It started in the 70s when my first teacher, Master Chin, said to me one day, "You know, you can create product." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "You can create incense, floor wash, and all of these things, because I can see that you have the ability." And I didn't do anything about it for a few years. And then bit by bit, working, doing this and that, and then it come to the stage where I was made redundant. And then that was 1990. And from 1990, I haven't really worked for nobody but myself. And we had a candle making business. We make all sorts of things at that time, spiritual oils and all sorts of things. And actually, I was selling them to other places.
Other shops,
yeah. And so it just evolved from there. But the reality is, I'm a kind of person that will wake up in the middle of the night and I'll get some ideas in my head. I don't know where it's coming from and I don't ask, but all I know, I have to probably write it down. I try and digest it. And then sooner or later I will understand where it's coming from, what I need to do with it. So I don't really take advice from human beings very easily, because I'm always getting inspiration. And inspiration is the best thing that you can have when you're inspired by whoever. And sometimes you don't even want to know who he is that is inspiring you. All you want to know is that there's a clarity and that knowledge is coming and it's uplifting, and it's not just the information you get is not really about you. It's about how you can help humanity to be a better human being.
So, why the shop? I know you had a shop in West Hampstead.
Yes, we had a shop in West Hampstead in the 90s.
And
now we call it Frames and Fragrance. And so we used to Sorry. So we used to do picture framing, do all kind of things, candles, incense, and all those things. And just at that time, I was getting very good at reading. And then I said, oh, have the shop, we're going to start with reading. And then the Spirit said to me, no, you're not doing no reading now. They say you need for keep on going for at least another year. And then by that year, we didn't have the shop. So I had to start doing reading in my house. And then at that time, I think, and some of the whole Caribbean people used to say, you're too young to be doing this. You can't be good at it. But when I did do a reading for them, they was happy and satisfied. And so we started on a long journey, and as we continue to evolve, then we realized that we are making more and more product, and I'm getting more and more inspiration to do things. And so because of these inspiration, I accept what Spirit was giving me, and so I continue try to build. And so it gets to the point where they start giving me formulas to make perfume, and I accept and I start making perfume. And so all of the product that I make is inspired. It's not really me. I don't know nothing about perfume. I don't know nothing about nothing. But I'm inspired to do whatever.
That's a phrase. I think you do know stuff.
Yes, I have a basic understanding. I never go to college and learn anything about perfume or anything like that. So when you have good spiritual ability and your ancestors there helping you, then life becomes easy. Because you don't have to kill yourself reading and learning things. You just sit down and you'll get inspired. This, make this.
So all your products are like organic or they're naturally made?
Most of them are organic and naturally made.
And they're handmade?
Handmade, yes. And again, my grandmother played a good part in that, in my life, because she was an herbalist. And she teach me, I think she tried to teach me all the plants in Jamaica. I forget most of them.
Yeah, coming to England.
But the idea is that in our family, on my mother's side, my grandmother's father's side, they are very good in understanding plants and everything. And in my mother's side, they are very good in. My grandmother had the best clairvoyancy that you could ever see. She could tell you everything that happened to you when you was a child. And when she call you in the district that we live, if you don't go, it's going to be probably your downfall. Because she used to call you, and when she call you, people run and hide.
She wants to tell you something you don't want to.
You know, like,
yeah. So,
because you would probably know what you are doing.
Yeah.
And therefore, you don't want to hear the truth. And so that is the environment we live. I am maroon on both sides. We live in the hills in Jamaica, in St. Thomas. And we still have ancestors, family living there now. So it's good to have this life in a simplistic way, where you don't have to overstrain yourself and get in a vexatious manner because you are frustrated about your life. So I've never been frustrated about my life. I've always have motivation. I've always have ideas, which is not coming from me. But I adhere to them and try and do the best I can. So having a shop now online is just a continued involvement. And really, I am not really doing this for myself now. I'm doing it so my children can benefit and have the knowledge. we carry on when I walk out of this earth.
Okay. Has anyone got any questions for Violet? Oh, there's a few. Hi. Okay.
Well, just running straight on, hi Debbie.
Yeah.
Running straight on from the family and what you're leaving with your children, and it's a really important part of what you've been talking about, is that bringing your children into the world as well with what your knowledge is and what your understanding is that they've already got that embedded in them because of your experiences and the way you live your life, and they're just going to grow on that. So I find it very interesting the way you ended on the next stage of how it just develops further. Can you speak more about that, about the sense of what you feel will, as you say, leave behind, as it were, or continue with in the future while you're not here? Is that the right way of putting it?
Yeah. Okay. So the reality is, again, they have spirituality on both sides of the family. The mother's side of the family have herbalists and have good spiritual ability. And so sometimes my daughters, some of them is giving me advance warning about situation and circumstance. And I haven't really taught them, but they are teaching themselves. Their grandparents or whoever is teaching them are inspiring them. So, you know, it is good and it's warming to see that I didn't have to give them nothing, but their ancestors decided that they need to know and they need to be walking. So they can do anything they want to do, but it's my understanding that they'll have to come back to their spiritual journey sooner or later. So I don't need to do too much for them. The bloodline and the ancestors are doing it for them.
There's a few. Hold on. I'll take this lady here.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Amma. I'm of Ghanaian descent.
Mm-hmm.
You may want to share this, you may not want to, because it might be a personal thing for you. How does one connect with their ancestors? So, my mum and father always used to share stories of some of our ancestors and who they were. But my mum always used to warn us and say, you need to be careful of the ancestors that you're inviting into your life.
Mm-hmm.
And so what is the process that you go through, or the ritual that you go through to invite your ancestors to guide you in this physical life?
Okay. So it's not a real process that you need to go through. One of the problems with us is that we get confused with spirituality and religion. And when we get mixed up in religion, it tells us that our ancestors are bad. You shouldn't talk to your ancestors. You shouldn't listen to what they say. And that is something that is putting you back. Now, I am also, my people is from Ghana as well, some of them, and all over Africa as well. So the fact that it's a gentle process. If you feel that something in your life is not right, if you feel that you're waking up in the middle of the night and you don't know why you're waking up, and so you need to speak to somebody who have some understanding about spirit and how spirit works. And then it could well be your ancestors is talking to you. So one of the simplest form I say to people is, if you continue to wake up in the night and you don't know why, get a pen and a paper and just start writing whatever thoughts is coming in your head. And sooner or later, it will develop and get better and better. And before you know it, your grandaunt, your mother, your uncle, whoever, will come and start to communicate with you. But you have to put fear aside. If you are, or your family is so entrenched in religion, because everything about you that you would need to know if you are so deep in religion. You're going to shut all of those doors. And you're going to say, I was speaking to somebody yesterday, and she was in my class one of the time, but she's always been Christian. And I spoke to her yesterday, and she said, oh, you know, I find a new church, and I'm back with the Lord. And I was so disappointed, because she has such ability and talent. And she has good ability. I say real good ability. And so now it's a backward step as far as I'm concerned. Because once you've gone back in the church and you're adhering to the system of religion or Christianity, then that is not going to make you evolve. It's just going to take you further backward. So you are doing a damage to yourself. And a lot of us, that's what we do, is self-harm. So it's important for you to just start, be inspired. Whatever you feel is coming, it will come. If you don't have fear, then your ancestors are not going to harm you. Yes, we have good and bad ancestors.
Exactly, that's
right?
it, yeah.
So I'm not going to tell you, say you don't have bad ancestors. But the reality is, and we have a system that you feed your good and your bad ancestors. Because the day will come when it is only the bad ancestor can do what you need doing. And if you don't feed them, and if you don't have communication with them, because remember we talk about the duality in life. So every one of us is 50% bad and 50% good. There is nobody who is 100% good, or very few people is 100% bad. But there are a few. So you have to understand that it's about balance. It's about harmony. It's about adjustment. So you can't just, and this is a kind of fear also in people. When they talk about spirituality, and everybody hear about Duppy, and everybody, when you hear the name Duppy, everybody start getting frightened. And my mom used to laugh after me, and she used to call me Duppy Conqueror.
Can you translate to somebody who might not understand?
Yeah, a duppy is what you would call a ghost. That's what the duppy is. Yeah. So, does that answer your question? Next question.
I have a question. Well, unless somebody else has a question.
It might be good just to maybe talk about how you might feel as a little, like the safeguard warning. If somebody is concerned about connecting.
Yeah, so one of the simple things about connection, if you feel fear, then that is something that is not right straight away. If you wake up in the middle of the night and you can't sleep and you get restless, and you shouldn't feel that way, then you should be aware. But it doesn't necessarily mean it's your ancestors. But most of the time, ancestors are not really troubling you. But there might be an occasion where you have a bad ancestor. And sometimes it could be just rivalry with your father, your mother, or your cousin when they were alive, and they're still in spirit, and they haven't really evolved, and they're still vexed. And you might be the son or the daughter of that person, of their sister or whatever. And they might look at you and say, why are you thriving in life? And my grandchild or whoever is not thriving. So, it's a complex thing, but it's not difficult to sort it out.
Okay, you've explained that there's a dichotomy between spirituality and religion.
Yes.
Now, a lot of Caribbean families are quite religious.
Therefore.
But what I found is, with my family in particular, yes, they do have that religious side, but it actually works in conjunction with the spirituality. It's not seen as an opposition or a dichotomy, but you can't have one, and not the other. You have to have either one or the other. They actually work in conjunction.
So there is something that we call natural law. And in natural law, everything that exists because it needs to be.
Right.
And there's another rule that we have, is man-made rule. And when you're following man-made rule, you are not really following the divine energy. It's as simple as that. So you're just fooling yourself. And you like the Sunday clapping and the drum or the whatever and the dancing in the church. Some church do a whole lot of dancing. But we also do a lot of dancing in the spiritual world as well. And you only have to see it if you go Benin or most of West Africa and see the manifestation of ancestors in living people. Then you would understand why people frighten of us, because they see something that is strange and it looks like absolute madness. People jumping from high places and coming down and no injury. People putting fire in their mouth and not getting burned, and all of these things. People see this manifestation, and this year I was in Burkina Faso in January, and they had hot fire stones, and people was just walking on them for half an hour, no burn. There had people was cutting themselves with sword, cutting their tongue, cutting their eyelid, no blood, nothing like that. So there's a level of knowledge that a lot of people in the West don't have, and they're frightened when they see these things, because they can't understand how a human being can manifest some of these things. So it's just knowledge. Once you have the knowledge and you learn, then you don't have to have the fear. Because fear is what stops you from doing the things that you should do. Or could do.
Do we got time for one more?
One more last question.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And unfortunately, this is going to be a two-parter.
I said last question.
No, it's just because I've heard you say, people have good ability, like good spiritual ability. And so from that, I can take that some people don't have good spiritual ability.
Yes.
But so can you? My first question is a quick one. Would you agree with me that everybody has spiritual ability?
Yes.
Okay. So the name of this.
Everybody has spiritual ability, but it is how much spiritual ability you have, and how much your ancestor want you to evolve, and how much are you in fear of evolving or knowing. So it's not a simple, straightforward question.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of people have a spirituality, and they come to me all the time and they say, this happened, but I don't want to get mixed up in this lucky business.
Goes back to that.
Go back to that. So we have to just understand that we are here for a purpose and a reason. We didn't just step on the earth. Each one of us is here on a mission. And the sooner we can understand what we're here to do and start doing it, it's easier, life becomes easier for us.
Okay. I just wanted to establish that everybody has spiritual ability.
Everybody has spiritual ability.
Yes, because the question that I really wanted to ask was, how do you identify what that spiritual ability is and then develop it? Because this session is about spiritual development. So how do you identify what your spiritual ability is and then develop it?
In most cases, most people can identify the spiritual ability. Somebody who have to have superior knowledge, understand the working of spirit. That's why we talk about guides. And we have guides in the spirit, and we have human guides that enable people to evolve and get better.
But also you've got to want to develop also.
Sometimes you might not want to. But sometimes you might not want to.
Yeah.
But
if you want to and you've got the ability, then you can.
yes, but also I know a woman, and she was a prostitute, and she came home from work in the night. She went to bed, and she fell into a coma, and she was in a coma for about 7 days. When she wake up, she was absolutely clairvoyant and started doing reading. And she was the first woman in Alsden that was ordained as a healer in the Catholic Church.
Crazy. Crazy story. Yeah. George? Yeah.
So you mentioned reading. What is that?
Huh?
You mentioned you do a lot.
What is a reading?
What is a reading? Right. A reading is a reader. A reader is somebody who you have some kind of situation in your life, and you don't know what is going on in your life, and you say this is abnormal, this is strange, and you might have a friend or somebody say, go and speak to this person or that person, and they might be able to clarify it for you. It's as simple as that. I can't hear you.
I don't think that answers the question.
All right. Okay. All right. So, what is a reader? A reader is a spiritual person who have the ability to perceive the physical and the non-physical. Does that make it clearer?
So basically you're saying you can engage with someone's spirit or
Guides.
Is that so? And then you can interpret things for that person.
Yeah. So every one of us have ancestors walking with us, whether we know it or not, whether we like them or not, and they are the first port of call. That if somebody can do reading, the ancestors is gonna come and tell them the whole of your business.
Not good. They'll say certain things.
Yo.
Is that clear, George?
Yeah. I mean, I have one more, but I mean, how do you know if you're doing what you're put on this planet to do? How do you know if you're on your purpose? If you're on the right path?
Following your purpose.
That is the simple thing. If you are doing what you come to do, life is easy. And some people don't have no problem in terms of money, in terms of relationship, everything is in harmony in their life. When you are in that state of equilibrium and balance, then you know that life is good for you. If you continue having, and one of the problems when you have spiritual problem is your life not going nowhere. You tried everything and you failed. You don't have no money, you don't have no love, you don't even love yourself no more, and you're frustrated. That's when you know that your ancestors is not with you.
And that's quite interesting because all of that would not be classified as a spiritual problem.
Not
In our
necessarily.
society.
In this society, no.
No, it's not classified.
But
It's classified as a person problem.
If you was in West Africa, people would know. Because people have more connection with their ancestors. And because they have a connection with their ancestors, they would regularly try and find out what's going on in their life. And I think it's a good thing because everybody should know what's going on within them. And when we talk about spirituality, we're not just talking about what happened in the supernatural world, but we're also talking about, as a healer, the ability to perceive what's going on in the physical body and diagnose and cure. All of those things are enabling you to live a better life and a more peaceful life.
Thank you.
Okay, I would like to thank Bhakti for his insight into spirituality over the past 30 years. And we are going to take a little break and we're going to have a sound bath next. Thank you very much.